a warm welcome to the 7th episode of Arad the Autistic Alien. I'm very happy that you're here with me today again. And I just want to say that I got a little cold, so maybe my voice isn't at its top level today. But I think I can still manage to record this podcast. So I want to start today's episode with a quote from the book The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Maybe you've read it. It's one of my all-time favorite books. It's a very beautiful story, and it's also good storytelling for people that maybe don't like to read so much, so maybe you want to look into it. So the quote goes as follows. "One only understands the things that one tames," said the fox. "Men have no more time to understand anything. They buy things already made at the shops. But there is no shop anywhere where one can buy friendship, and so men have no friends anymore. If you want a friend, tame me." "What must I do to tame you?" asked the little prince. "You must be very patient," replied the fox. "First you will sit down at a little distance from me, like that, in the grass. I shall look at you out of the corner of my eye, and you will say nothing. Words are the source of misunderstandings." When I thought of the term taming before I read The Little Prince, I always perceived it as an authoritarian act, because I was used to it being linked to breeding animals. But when reading about taming in The Little Prince, I remembered my favorite comic as a child, Yakari. Yakari is a boy of a Native American tribe, and his adventures include him taming a wild horse. Like in The Little Prince with the fox, taming for Yakari is about becoming friends with his horse, which is wild and instinctive when they first encounter. The reason I am occupied with taming so much at the moment is that I now understand that those right people I mentioned in one of the earlier episodes are actually the ones that come with the capacity to tame your hurt, resentful, angry parts. And it's not because they choose to. It's because life has chosen them to show up after they have gained the capacity to be patient with you. Just like with the right people, you will have gained the capacity to be patient with them. Hence, we cannot expect everyone to have these capacities, but we can be sure to find those that do, or be found by them, when we live as authentic as possible in every moment. This living authentically in every moment actually brought up some of my darkest aspects lately. My inner dragon emerged quite frantically. I know that this happens because I currently am unmasking and deconditioning my autistic self, which frees a lot of anger that I had bottled up deep down inside. So my anger is what I kind of call my inner dragon. And because I really like to visualize things, I kind of visualize my inner dragon right now as a teenager. So I want to describe how I perceive my inner dragon, because I really love visualizing. It's a very, very good magical tool, and it's very easy to do because we all have an astral body. So my inner dragon is this very bright velvet red, about the size of a pony, but I think he's like getting bigger, because that's what I said, he's a teenager now, he's growing pretty quickly. And he gets upset quite easily, which also like gives off this teenager vibes, doesn't it? That is because on the one hand, I currently do not live in a home that's suitable for autists. The less space I have to calm myself down and relax wholeheartedly, the more easily my inner dragon gets triggered. But I think the main reason for my inner dragon to spit more fire than would be needed more often than not is that I didn't listen to him for a very, very long time in my life. Due to good girl programming, my inner dragon got suppressed by me very early on. I believe this happens to a lot of us who grew up in Catholically conditioned countries like Switzerland. So interestingly enough, a lot of work regarding my inner dragon and his liberation was done through me acknowledging that I am Celtic, not Christian. And those that know me, like a lot of times when people meet me, they're like, oh my God, I didn't expect you to be that tall. Because I'm 1 meter 76 centimeters. So, and it's kind of funny to me because I'm like, for me, I have like the typical Celtic body. And I like to call Switzerland Helvetia or Helvetia because it's actually CH, which is like our country's short description, is Confederatio Helvetica, and that actually comes from the Helvetians, which were one of the last Celtic tribes to survive during Roman times. So I believe that my heritage is definitely Celtic, and opposed to a lot of like more northern countries, like especially Iceland. I love Iceland because they have like kept so much of their own inherited magic, because the Christian didn't go up there so much. I mean, they did as well, but you can tell in even like the magical Christian staves, like the Wegvisor or Wegvisir, it's a Christian symbol, but it's definitely not Christian. You know, it's like Easter. Easter is not a Christian holiday, not in any capacity that we celebrate it. Yeah, it's definitely Celtic. So I had this very interesting discussion with a friend lately where it was about who survives on planet Earth. Because I don't agree that the strongest survives, but the one that can push himself through. So it's a lot about adaptability, and strength does not always come with adaptability. Yeah, strength, or like the reasons why some tribes maybe survived longer than others were because they understood where they should fight and where they should not fight. Because when I look at buildings all over Europe, I see ruins. You can see ruins everywhere, and it's so funny because you see them a lot in churches. And now the question is, and also you see a lot of Celtic symbols. So the question is, who has really won? And because, they say that our religion or that our heritage got lost, but I don't believe so. I actually think that it survived within each of us. And me now doing these symbols, maybe these are Celtic symbols that just didn't survive the passing of time to today. And also the things that we retrieve from the Akashic records and all the signs that are still there that kind of survived show to me that in the end, it's how you look at it. Yeah, you can see it as though Christianity survived, or like overruled everything. But when you look at Christianity, it's just a mix of a lot of different cultures. Like everywhere, things get celebrated a bit differently. And so, like, you can look at one hand that we got taken over, or you can look at it as we took over the religion that wanted to take us over, right? So I realized that the more I just decondition my beliefs from the Catholic imprint, the more I arrive at a very true Celtic belief, yeah? And the Celtic belief is that I have a right to my rage. My anger is my holy fire, and I will not let anyone take it away from me anymore. Of course, I shall not hurt others with my anger. But to understand and finally embrace that my anger only shows when someone else or I myself have overstepped my boundaries is the first step in integrating my dragon fully. My dragon is always right in lighting his flame. What we learn together currently is how to aim a bit more carefully and how to blaze a more steady, less roaring flame. What I also have learned is that my inner dragon shows me where I am hard to myself. Its fire is somewhat of an invitation to create more softness within me, because then this inner softness can mirror itself in my outside world. Although my life is rather rough right now, I feel very grateful because I can learn very quickly under such pressure and evolve into softer realities. So now I want to give you a little background on the quote in case you haven't read The Little Prince. The Little Prince lives on his planet and then he kind of starts a journey because he also feels very lonely. And he meets different entities, and one of these entities is the fox. And what I find very beautiful is both of them are lonely and both of them want to become friends. And what I like so much about the quote from The Little Prince that I've shared with you is that it's a very clear example for setting loving boundaries. Because what I also did with my inner dragon is I didn't accept it. I didn't want it. So I didn't take care of its boundaries or my own boundaries. And that's also because there are not so many good examples for doing that, in the outside world. So what I personally take away from this reflection is that when I meet new people that I feel that we both want to be friends or have like some kind of relationship with each other, from now on I will tell them that I am wild and that if they want to be my friend or my ally or even in my life in general, it will take time and attention, 2 gifts that I am ready to give myself. You know, I kind of moved to the place I live in now because I wanted to dominate my inner dragon. I wanted it to become more social, without realizing that it behaved badly because it was so deeply hurt. So what I currently face on the outside is a mirror of my inner aim to kill the free spirit of my inner dragon, instead of befriending it, taming it. So I am so endlessly grateful for this mirror because I feel so much more inner peace since I understood all of this. And I know that this inner peace will soon be mirrored in my outside reality too, because in the end, it's all a vibe thing. And that's what the fox points out in his last sentence within the quote. Words are the source of misunderstandings. I have spoken to so many people whose words sounded interesting, but whose vibe wasn't sensible to me at all. I also have spoken to so many people who, in their words, agreed with me that, they have the same approach to respect and love and friendship, but their actions showed something else. And nothing of what they said or promised has stuck with me, because to me it wasn't feasible, it wasn't real, it was just words. But then on the other hand, I exchanged one single look with some people, and I sensed more of their essence than I sensed in people I even had sexual relationships with. And what they conveyed to me, and I to them, with one single look, has stayed with me to this day, even if I have never met them again. So yeah, words are fine, but vibes are finer. And I know that before I couldn't really pay attention to vibes because I didn't sense them. And what I realized is that I did a lot of work to arrive more in my body, yeah? Because I realized there were some like very early childhood traumas that kept me from being in my body fully. So I did a lot of Koyopa work that maybe you relate more to the term Kundalini Yoga. It's the same thing. And it's also what I have a free app about on my website if you want to check it out, to scan your aura and arrive more in your physical body, to really ground your thoughts, ground your emotions, ground your physical sensations, ground your visions. And that's what I had to do. And I realized the more I arrive in my physical body, the more I can feel energy. I can really feel it. Like before, I knew that it was there. It was a different approach. I knew it was there. I'm not a clairvoyant, so I don't see things, but I know. Yeah? So I'm like, there's a word for it, but I don't know right now. Clairsavient? I don't know. Anyways, I just know very clearly what's up without seeing anything, or I don't know, I just know it. So I had that before. And now I know it still, but I also feel it. It's very difficult to explain, but when I do like my rituals, like the LBRP and stuff like that, I really feel the chi moving through my body. And before I knew it did that, but I couldn't really feel it because I wasn't like enough in my body. Yeah. So I realized that this vibe thing, maybe we get lost a lot with people who we agree with in words until we become so at home in our own bodies that we trust our body enough that it can send us the vibe, the energy. And then, like, because before I also knew, okay, I should not like hang out with this person, but sometimes my trauma still made me hang out with this person or these persons because maybe about trauma bonding. It's something when both of you kind of have either the same trauma from your childhood or you have very opposing traumas from your childhood. And then these people can really feel like soulmates or something like that. But what they actually are is it's like a trauma bond. For example, all my life I wanted to make emotionally unavailable people available to me. Yeah? I kind of always wanted the attention of those who didn't want to give me the attention, and vice versa. Like people that gave me too much attention felt very weird to me. Yeah. And I could like go into very deep stuff right now because this is related to oxytocin, and it's related that you can get empty oxytocin or full oxytocin. So if you get hugged a lot as a kid because the person that hugs you need a hug, then you don't get a hug. You actually give a hug. Yeah. So if that happens a lot, your brain gets wired very weirdly. Okay. So this is even like it's proven on a chemical level. Yeah. I'm not just talking psychological stuff right here, right now. It's really chemical. And so I kind of like, as long as you have this trauma, you want to rewrite your childhood. Yeah. So you want to make unemotional people available to you and so on. And this is trauma bonding. And that's also something that I realize now, that before, when I had this, like, let's say, you'll call it a positive attention. When I had a positive attention from someone that I didn't have to search for, they kind of sometimes felt stupid to me. Because, nobody ever gave me attention. So you must be a bit stupid to give me attention. It's like this very fucked up thing within me. And I know that a lot of people have that. And those that didn't give me attention, I did everything to get it. And now I realize that I don't have that anymore. And it's so beautiful, And it's also somehow related to my vibe, to the vibe thing. Because I arrive more in my physical body. I don't only stay in the head. Yeah, I arrive in the heart chakra, and I arrive in the root chakra, and I arrive in my body. So they have the same weight. What they say has the same weight now as what my mind or my head says. So that's how I am able now to heal a lot of my PTSD, because even though people say things, I understand or I feel what's said, and I see what they do. Yeah, I feel, so that's the heart chakra, and I see what they do, action, so that's the physical body. And because I integrated those both within me, now my mind is still, yeah, but they say that, and that. And my heart and my body are like, yeah, but look what they do, and look how it feels. So I am not attracted by narcissists anymore. And I don't want to make people give me attention that definitely are not emotionally available, because that's not interesting to me, because now I am emotionally available for myself. Yeah. So yeah, that I took a little roundabout here, but I think that was very much important, because yeah, that's just what I realized. No, that the more I arrive in my bodies fully, the more of my pain body I release and transform, which actually today is a very good day for. Yeah, when you listen to this, it will already have passed, but today was the eclipse, solar eclipse, and it's starting exactly what I'm talking about today in this podcast, about embracing our individuality, taking care of our hurt, resentful selves, but still staying open and finding others where we can connect to on that level. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how, I wrote this book, Being Human, a Travel Guide, and then I made an app about it, so you can just for all my neurodivergent people who maybe are dyslexic or just not really prone to read, I wanted to have something that they can use directly without having to read the book. And the app failed completely. It was a disaster, but I made a web app out of it. And, I did all of this, and I understood that it's aura studies, and I understood that I'm explaining something to me that I have not found explained in a simple and clear way out there. And I also feel that it's a lot of benefit to others to have this explained. And I worked with it, and I did it all the time because, of course you have to practice what you preach. And I wasn't really stuck on an end result. Yeah, Spirit just always told me, you will be better. You will be doing better. You will be doing way better if you do this. Yeah, just do it. Scan your aura every day. Do it. Connect with the elements every day. Do it. And follow your own intuition. Do it as freely as you want or must, so you don't feel you have to obey to something, but do it. And now I'm here and I'm like, wow, this is the blessing in it, yeah? That somehow I arrived so much more fully in all of the bodies of my aura, and even without having to go consciously through the pain again, I just did the Risa, and sometimes, of course, I had to clear my emotional body and I cried a lot or whatever, but I didn't have to go consciously through the pain anymore. And of course, my therapist and the homeopathy also helps a lot. So it shouldn't be maybe the only tool. But I now realize that that's the true benefit of it, to really ground what I sense spiritually into my physical body and having so much more power in this body, yeah, and also integrating this dragon. I mean, imagine how tall this dragon will become if it's only a teenager right now, and how beautiful he will become when we learn to work together, because it's important to set boundaries and it's important to be your own best friend. And maybe it's easier to do sometimes if we visualize an entity outside of us, because then we can embrace it more. Yeah, I really needed this picture of the dragon to understand how much he was hurt, because I saw how hurt he was. Yeah, physically, when I visualized him, I saw how many wounds he had, and that he was actually so hurt. Yeah, and I mean, we all know that. Yeah, hurt people. But with ourselves, I think it's very hard to realize, and I think that's why also I had to understand that I'm Celtic, because Jesus is a very good principle, yeah, very good. But what he forgot to say is love yourself first, yeah? He's preaching, or what is left of what he said, because I also believe that a lot of humans fucked around with his message. So I believe that what Jesus said is love yourself first and then love everybody else the way you love yourself. Yeah. But this got conveyed in such an dominant, authoritarian way, dogmatic way, that now it suppresses us. And I think like our anger is the way that frees us. It's the way to our liberation, to meet our anger and then start to integrate our anger until we can fly the shit out of that dragon, so to speak, yeah? And I feel like that's where we also connect to our heritage again, you know? Because I think everybody knows at this point that I'm a very big system critic. And I don't know if you know, but you know, like, I don't know the word in English, monarchy. Yeah, in Europe we had a lot of this monarchy shit, yeah? And this is actually the root of borders and nations, yeah? Because before we had a lot of the Celtic people, they were like traveling around. They had like their 3 spots, and throughout the year they traveled between these 3 spots. So they were kind of gypsies, because those who really know gypsies know that gypsies don't just move around all the time. They also have their like settling places, yeah, and they move from these places. So it's actually the heritage that they still have, which was almost taken away from them completely, but that's actually our heritage, yeah. And I actually believe very much that things went really awry when we settled down completely. Because before, when we were still moving around, like let's say in these 3 places, we still were moving with nature, yeah? Nature had like these croppings there, or like this cows that we could hunt there. So we moved with nature. And when we settled down, we made nature our bitch. And we started to change nature towards our needs. And like I said, that's where everything went wrong, but that was needed very much, yeah? Because we needed to learn that we are gods, because that's what we are becoming. We become the creators of this Terra, the next Terra, the 5D Terra. So we needed to learn that we are so powerful that we can take over the whole world. And what we also had to learn, and I think that's the main lesson right now, is the humbleness that comes with that. Yeah? I mean, I could stay at this point and just say, oh yeah, I have this dragon and it kills everyone that comes too close to me. I like it like that, whatever, you know. But then I would not take full responsibility. Yeah? If I want to be human and I want to create my own life, I also have to take responsibility, and I have to have a certain humility that, oh, there are weaker entities than me, so I am responsible for their well-being as well. Yeah? Without them, like, I cannot let them mistreat me for that, yeah? For that reason that they are weaker. But still, like, understanding your power is also that with power, you can create or you can destroy. So it takes a lot of humility. It takes so much humbleness to not destroy with it. And that's what I'm learning right now. I think that's also my lesson here, yeah? And I feel like all this settling and stuff like that, you know, I just feel that also with, we settled down. Then we had like this monarchy that, okay, yeah, this place belongs to that guy. So when I was a gypsy and I wanted to pass their land, I had to have a passport. I had to have the allowance to pass the ground of that monarch, yeah? Even if I wasn't staying there, only if I wanted to move through it. Or if I was staying there for 2 or 3 days, I needed a passport. So that's where the passports come from. And that's also where the borders come from, yeah? Yeah, I actually don't know how I got here right now. But still, I believe that going with the flow also means necessarily going with everything that shows, also the anger. Because everything that grows in nature has to state its ground. Like, you know, maybe trees for us look like very peaceful entities, but if that tree doesn't get enough soil for his root work, he will not grow. So there is like, it's not, fight is a very human word, yeah? But it's a constant measuring, yeah? Because that which is the most intelligent, the strongest, and the most adaptable will actually survive. So if that tree finds a way, so that's how nature evolves. Yeah? It's not about punishing the tree with less soil or less space. It's about, can that tree find other ways to grow without so much soil? So it's actually kind of always like a little testing of the universe. Oh, could I evolve like that too? Oh, could I go there too? Oh, could I do that too? Very interesting, no? And to me, that helps a lot to understand that nothing is ever a punishment and everything is just always an invitation. It's an invitation, always an invitation. And it's always a beautiful invitation when I look at it from that perspective. So yeah, I really wish for more softness in this world and more softness for everyone on their inside. Because I don't think that there was a lot of softness. When I look at religions, most religions are not soft. It's not about softness, it's about dominance. And I believe the softer it's maybe a paradox again, but I think that the more softer we become with ourselves, the more we get stronger, and the more we can work through all this bullshit that we have to work through to create a better world for everyone, by being softer towards ourselves. I think that's where the key lies. And I still have to study that deeper, but that's just something that I'm about right now. And I even dress myself in like very soft clothing and colorful clothing to really just like remind myself, stay soft. First towards yourself and then towards others. But stay soft, because that's what you want to be, and that's what you deserve. That's what everyone deserves. So yeah, I want to conclude this episode with some news I got on the diagnostics front. So I will move out of the place I'm living in right now, end of July. And first I got an invitation to go to the diagnostics at 18th of July. So that would only give me 12 days to make the diagnostics here, because if I switch canton or I move places in Switzerland, I will have to go to another diagnostic center. So I was really upset because I felt like, oh my God, this is still a very long time and I would really love to have clarity. And because now I'm already on this waiting list and it takes like several months to start. When I move, I will have to go through the whole procedure again. So I called the institution and I told them that, look, maybe this is a bit like short timing and I don't want to have everybody have more to do than they should and I have to go to do things twice and stuff like that. So what shall we do? How do you do that normally if somebody moves? And then she said, oh, yeah. And I also told her that one of the reasons I have to move is that most probably I'm autistic. So it would be really helpful to know that, just so I can really know what some of my issues are as well. Yeah, or where my triggers lie, so I can find a better place to stay. And then she said, oh, just wait a second. I will call the doctor for you because he's free right now. And I will just talk to him and see what he can do. The psychiatrist that will actually diagnose me, that is. So I waited on the phone and then she got back to me and she was like, oh, so good that you called us, because he just told me that another appointment got cancelled. So you could actually start 1 month earlier on the 22nd of June. And then the time should also be enough to have your diagnostics here, like fully done. And then when you move, you can actually just look for a therapy or like further help in the new place. And so I'm so relieved and I'm so happy for that. And I'm so happy that I called them and like just took things into my own hands and looked for clarity. Because sometimes, it sucks, to always be the person that has to like make your field clear and just call people. But yeah, like it's to me a very good proof as well that if you don't stay in the victim mode and just say, okay, well, if that's what's happening, I don't want to be a burden for this diagnostic center. And then, like just double the work for them when there are other people waiting. So maybe I just take a step back and I wait until I have moved to get this thing rolling again. And then this falls into my lap. So I think it's very beautiful because now I even appreciate this place or the situation I'm in right now even more because I kind of moved here, found out through the triggers that most probably I'm autistic, will get my final diagnosis here, whether I am or not. And then I can move on with my life, like quite literally, yeah. And the 1st of August is Lug in the Celtic tradition. So it's the festival of the first harvest. It's the 1st or the 2nd. Right now I'm not sure. I'm not really good in this 1st, 2nd and 3rd, but it's a festival of the harvest, a quite big one. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And the funny thing is that, I told you that I prefer to call Switzerland Helvetia. And the 1st of August is the Swiss national holiday, yeah. And I don't know what political or social reason they give for it, but to me it's super clear that it's because it was a Celtic holiday. Yeah, it's one of the major Celtic holidays, Luke. So, yeah, that's another funny thing. So even that is still here, What exactly got erased? Maybe people got killed, but their genetics got passed on, right? So, yeah, I believe that more of the ancient traditions are still living than we believe. It's like me starting to tattoo. I got a tattoo, and while I got a tattoo by a machine, a voice inside of my head said, you can do that without a machine. All you need is a needle and ink. And I went home, and I got a needle and ink, and I tried it. And it was good. And for sure I needed a lot of training, and no. But I did it right in the first time. I got the right layer of the skin in the first time. And that's because I believe I unlocked this knowledge that was within me, that was passed down through my ancestors. Yeah, and I believe a lot of people do that. Either they know it or they don't. So yeah, haha. You can see that I'm a bit all over the place, but it's really also related to this new moon eclipse because maybe as you know, in eclipses, the moon goes over the sun and then like the sun is like the person that we project on the outside and the moon is our subconscious self. And when an eclipse happens, actually the darkness of the moon like it kind of covers the light of the sun. So we are exposed to our deepest shadows. And my deepest shadow was this like not being soft to myself and not acknowledging that maybe I have a lot of PTSD because I was not diagnosed as an autist. And I'm very, very hard with myself in a lot of things. Because I still feel like I have to work like everyone else and do shit like everyone else, although maybe I'm not even able to, So yeah, that was the shadow I worked with, and I prayed to my ancestors this night to really help me heal this and create a softer reality for myself where I can heal and where I can like have all the fluffness I need to really embrace who I am and grow. That's also something. Yeah. I also realized that, my dragon and I, the right people for us now are people who can confront us. Yeah. That can actually tell, hey Dada, are you hurt? Or why are you talking so aggressive? Or are you okay? Or even, hey, please don't talk to me like that. Yeah. But if like I get ignored, which happened a lot recently, I get very upset because ignorance is something I can't really deal with. And then my inner dragon feels like it doesn't get heard and it gets louder and louder and it gets very, very upset. So, yeah. Wow, there's so much to learn on this path, called human life. What a time to be embodied. Anyways, that's why I'm a bit all over the place, but I hope this episode made sense so far. And I'm very happy that you stayed with me. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I wish you a lovely, lovely, lovely week ahead. Sending much love. And yeah, hear you next week for the 8th episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.